Roman Catholic Diocese of Bergamo. The Diocese of Bergamo is a see of the Catholic Church in Italy and is a suffragan of the Archdiocese of Milan. Geographically, Bergamo stood between the mainland interests of the Republic of Venice and the territory of the Duchy of Milan. The duchy was regularly contested by the French and the Holy Roman Empire, which brought about repeated military operations. Internally, from the 12th to the 15th century, there was the usual petty strife between the Guelphs, who generally supported the political and religious policies of the Papacy, and the Ghibellines, who generally supported the emperors. As kings of Italy, the emperors were feudal overlords of Lombardy. The diocese was founded in the 4th century AD. Its first bishop was Narno, who was succeeded by Viator. History. August 26 is the feast day of Bergamo's patron, Saint Alexander, who was believed to have been a Roman centurion of the Theban legion imprisoned for his Christian beliefs. According to the fictional narrative, he escaped, was recaptured, and was executed as a martyr around 297 AD. There is a church, San Alessandro da Bergamo, currently administered by Benedictine priests. On 25 March 901, the Emperor Louis Roman III issued a charter in which he confirmed Bishop Adalbertus and his successors in all their rights and possessions as bishops of Bergamo. The diploma specially mentions the Church of South Alessandro and Fora, which Bishop John converted from the Arian heresy to the Catholic faith. On 23 June 904, King Berengar of Italy ordered Bishop Adalbertus and the citizens of Bergamo to rebuild the walls which had been destroyed during the incursion of the Hungarians. In return for this service, the king confirmed and strengthened the bishop's civil control over the city and area, even against his officials and feudal vassals. In 974, the Emperor Otto Roman II granted the bishops of Bergamo civil jurisdiction over not only the city of Bergamo and the suburbs to a distance of 3 miles, but also the Valseriate and other lands. Bishop Arnulfus. Arnulfus, the successor of Bishop Otto, was the son of Viator Guido of the area called Landriano, in the territory of Milan. He was elected Bishop of Bergamo at some point between 19 October and 30 December 1077. His election was apparently quiet and canonical, since Pope Gregory Roman VII refers to him in a letter of 21 June 1079 as having been reported to be receptive to papal counsel and obedient to his teaching. Arnulfum Bergamsus Ecclesiae Electum, nostro labenter et concilio crede et precepto Obadiah. The Pope had been the recipient of several complaints against Bishop-elect Arnulfus from several sources. He had apparently dispossessed a knight from his fief, and had sold the Archdiaconate of Bergamo for £50. Gregory ordered the Bishop of Como to look into the charges and, if necessary, to apply the appropriate canonical penalties. Arnulfus appears to have escaped censure, though he still had not been consecrated by the end of the year 1079. In 1098, Bishop Arnulfus again found himself in difficulties. He had chosen to support the schism of Archbishop Wybert of Ravenna, instigated by the Emperor Henry Roman IV, and some German and North Italian bishops. On 8 April 1098, he was arraigned before the Council of Milan, presided over by Archbishop Anselm with the participation of bishops and archbishops from both southern France and Lombardy. It confirmed the sentence of anathema which had been levelled by Pope Urban Roman II against Wybert Gaibatus, Orbitus of Brescia, Arnulfus of Bergamo, Gregory of Vercelli, and Anselm of Novara. Arnulfus was deposed and is said to have died in the same year. Quite the contrary, Arnulfus was able to maintain his seat, with the support of the Emperor Henry and his antipope Celestine, all three of them schismatics. The situation inside the diocese became contentious. In 1101, the canons of the cathedral, led by the Archpriest Albertus de Zolasco Sorlasco, there being no archdeacon in office, appealed to the new Pope Paschal Roman II for protection. In a bull of 15 May 1101, countersigned by 5 cardinals, Pope Paschal replied positively to the Archdeacon Albertus and his brothers of the Bergamasque Church of South. His sense of living canonically, granting the request of the College of Canons and through them the Church of South. Vincenzo. For the present, the Pope announced, he decided that whatever they possessed from Catholic bishops and religious kings they should continue to hold, and so long as they remained in canonical discipline no one might disturb them in their possessions. No bishop or archpriest might have the faculty to redirect their property into a nulla benefice or otherwise redirect their income, respecting of course the canonical rights of a Catholic bishop of Bergamo. The double reference to Catholic bishops highlights the fact that the incumbent was schismatic and intrusive, and had no canonical rights. On 2 February 1106, another bull was received from Pope Paschal Roman II, excommunicating Bishop Arnulfus and all the usurpers of the property of the Church of Bergamo. The decree was read from the pulpit of the cathedral by the archpriest Albertus. Arnulf was succeeded by the monk Ambrosius de Musso Muso, who was elected between November 1110 and before January 1112, when he signs himself Ambrosius Pergamensis Electus. He was a canon of the cathedral chapter, and was residing in Paris at the time of his election. It was said that he was elected by the archpriest Albertus, with no other electors participating. Ambrosius' successor, Bishop Gregorius, was chosen by a compromise committee composed of electors from the cathedral chapter of South, Alessandro from the cathedral chapter of South, Vincenzo, and from city and suburban parish priests. Election of 1309-1310. Bishop Johann Scanza, 1295-1309, died on 2 November 1309. The chapter met and appointed 2 vicars capitular instead of the customary one, Alessandro de Clementi and Cipriano degli Alessandri. The meeting to elect a new bishop was held on 21 November, and 4 scrutators were appointed: the provost Alessandro de Clementi, the archpriest Franco de Collioli, canon Cipriano degli Alessandri, and canon Manfredo de Longai. Canon Guglielmo de Longai was elected by inspiration, and was proclaimed by the provost in the church of South, Vincenzo. Canon Guglielmo was not present, however, but on duty at Avignon. 4 canons were sent to Avignon to present the election certificate to the electors and to obtain his confirmation, investiture, and consecration. The delegation presented the electoral certificate to Canon Guglielmo in Avignon on 30 December 1309, who requested time to examine the situation and to consult with God. On 17 January 1310, the delegates repeated their visitation, but were put off again. Finally, on 25 January 1310, Canon Guglielmo announced his decision to refuse the election. Since the refusal took place at the papal court, canon law would seem to place the right to elect a new bishop in the hands of Pope Clement V, and that is exactly what the Bergamasque historians argue. They make the next bishop, Canon Cipriano degli Alessandri, a papal appointment. Giuseppe Branchetti, however, argues that signatures of Bishop-elect Cypriani, which read, Venerab. Verdi Cyprianus Pergamensis electus et confirmatus 29 July 1310, point to a second election by the cathedral chapter and then papal confirmation. Cyprianus was still bishop-elect on 31 December 1310. On 11 February 1347, Bishop Bernardus Tragardi consecrated the new church of South Agostino for the order of hermits of St. Augustine. In 1400 the plague struck the territory of Bergamo, killing an estimated 20,000 people. The case of Bishop Soranzo. Bishop Pietro Lipomono was transferred to the Diocese of Rome on 18 February 1544. In his place Pope Paul Roman III appointed Cardinal Pietro Bembo. Bembo, however, was only in priestly orders, having been ordained only 4 years earlier, at the age of 69. He was not in episcopal orders, and did not intend to reside in the Diocese of Bergamo. He never resided in any of the dioceses to which he was appointed. To address this problem, on 18 July 1544 Pope Paul appointed Bishop Vincenzo Sorzano to be Bembo's coadjutor bishop in the Diocese of Bergamo. Soranzo was created titular Bishop of Nicaea, Turkey, to qualify him for the episcopal post. Sorzano was a long-standing friend of Bembo, ever since the days when Sorzano was a student in Padua and Bembo was resident there. When Bembo died in Rome on 19 January 1547, Sorzano succeeded to the bishopric. In Rome, Sorzano was acquainted not only with Cardinal Bembo, but also with Cardinal Reginald Paul and Vittorio Colonna, members of the Circle of Spirituali at Viator. All of these people were suspected of heresy and were being watched by the Roman Inquisition, whose head was Cardinal Gian Pietro Caraffa. In the 1540s, the Inquisitor of Como and Bergamo was From Michel Gisli Orpi, whose attention was drawn to Sorzano by complaints from both civil and religious authorities. He was accused of possessing heretical literature. Though Gisli conducted an investigation, no charges were lodged. To the contrary, one of the members of the Roman Inquisition, Cardinal Marcello Cervini, employed Sorzano in 1550 for monastic visitations. Impressed with Gisli's bravery and determination, Cardinal Caraffa had him brought to Rome in 1551 and made him commissary of the Holy Office of the Inquisition. In 1552 he was sent to Bergamo with orders to prepare a case against Bishop Sorzano. Based on his work, Sorzano was brought to Rome and lodged in the Castel Sant'Angelo. On 22 June 1552, Pope Julius Roman III suspended Bishop Sorzano from office and appointed Niccolo Durante as administrator of the Diocese of Bergamo. Sorzano was not restored until 24 May 1554. But while Julius Roman III lived, Sorzano was protected by the Pope's hostility to the Inquisition and by the interest of the Republic of Venice. After the election of the Grand Inquisitor Gian Pietro Carafa as Pope Paul Roman IV on 23 May 1555, the situation of Sorzano changed once again. His case was reopened by the Holy Office of the Inquisition. He was convicted and, on 20 April 1558, he was deposed from the Bishopric of Bergamo by the Pope. All of his episcopal acts were declared null and void. He fled to Venice, where he died on 9 May 1558. Cathedral and Chapter. The Cathedral of Bergamo was dedicated to St. Alessandro of Bergamo, which lay outside the walls of the town. It was destroyed at the beginning of the 10th century during the incursions of the Hungarians, and the remains of St. Alessandro were rescued and transferred to the Church of St. Vincenzo, inside the city. The Church of St. Alessandro was eventually rebuilt and destroyed again in 1561, but the Church of St. Vincenzo continued to serve as the cathedral during the 10th, 11th, and 12th centuries. Bergamo therefore had two cathedrals for several centuries, each with its own chapter of canons. In 816, the Emperor Louis held a council at Aix, at which it was ordered that canons and canonesses live together according to a set of rules canons, regularly. In the Roman Synod of Pope Eugene Roman II of November 826, it was ordered that canons live together in a cloister next to the church. In 876, the Council of Pavia decreed in Canon X that the bishops should enclose the canons, ut episcopi in civitate bisuis proximum ecclesiae claustrum instituent, in quo ipsicum clero secundum canonicam regulam Dio militant, et sacerdotios ad hoc constringent, ad ecclesiam non relinquent et alba habita praesument. In 897, at the request of the canons themselves, Bishop Adalbertus organized them into the chapter of St. Vincenzo. The archdeacon is attested as early as 907, the provost by 908, the archpriest by 966, and the primicerius by 929. On 23 December 1189, an agreement was reached between the chapter of St. Vincenzo and the chapter of St. Alessandro to unite as a single body of canons. The arrangement was approved by Pope Clement Roman III on 21 June 1190. The two chapters had been quarrelling for more than a half-century, despite the examination of their case by 3 cardinals, and demands from Pope Lucius Roman III, Pope Urban Roman III, and Pope Gregory Roman VIII that they settle their differences. In 1691, the chapter of the cathedral was composed of 4 dignities and 44 canons. In 1855, there were 4 dignities: archpriest, theologus, penitentiary, and primicerius, and 11 other canons. Synods. A diocesan synod was an irregular but important meeting of the bishop of a diocese and his clergy. Its purpose was 1. To proclaim generally the various decrees already issued by the bishop. 2. To discuss and ratify measures on which the bishop chose to consult with his clergy. 3. To publish statutes and decrees of the diocesan synod, of the provincial synod, and of the Holy See. A diocesan synod is known to have taken place as early as 897 under Bishop Adalbertus. Other early synods took place in 1000, 1081, 1143 or 1144, 1187, 1285, 1295, and 1297. A diocesan synod was held in Bergamo in 1304 by Bishop Giovanni Dosganzo. The 10th synod took place in 1451, the 11th in 1453, and the 12th in 1454. Bishop Federico Cornaro 1561-1577 and his metropolitan, Archbishop Carlo Borromeo of Milan, both attended the last sessions of the Council of Trent. On his return, Archbishop Borromeo held a provincial synod in Milan in August 1564, which Bishop Cornaro attended, where the decrees of the council were discussed and adopted as statutes of the ecclesiastical province of Milan. Immediately on his return to Bergamo, Cornaro held his own diocesan synod on 4-5 September and announced the imposition of the tax authorized by the council in its 23rd session, chapter 18, for the purpose of building a seminary for the diocese. Bishop Cornaro held another synod in May 1568, a third on 15 September 1574, and another on 30 April to May 1579. As apostolic visitor of the Diocese of Cremona, Bishop Girolamo Ragazzoni of Bergamo 1577-1592 held a joint synod of the two dioceses in 1583 and issued a set of constitutions. Bishop Giambattista Maloni 1592-1611 presided at 3 diocesan synods, his third on 4 September 1603. In 1613, Bishop Geronimo 1611-1622 held his first diocesan synod, at which he promulgated a number of decrees. On 4 May 1620, Bishop Agostino Prila 1627-1632 presided at the diocesan synod and issued a set of constitutions and decrees, to which were added a number of papal bulls and decrees of Vatican congregations. Bishop Luigi Grimoni 1633-1656 held his first diocesan synod on 4 June 1636. His second took place on 15 June 1648. On 1 May 1653, Bishop Luigi Grimoni 1633-1656 held a diocesan synod. On 1 September 1660, Bishop Gregorio Barbarigo 1657-1664 presided at the diocesan synod. On 15 May 1668, Bishop Daniel Giacchini 1664-1697 issued a 22-page set of Monita Synodali to the clergy of the Diocese of Bergamo. To the document were annexed 2 sets of Apennines Danati and Congregation Generali Sancti Inquisitionis Coram SS. T. North. P. Alexandro Roman 7, 45 in number. One condemned proposition was that a gentleman had the right to accept a challenge to a duel. Another was the notion that it was acceptable to kill a false accuser, false witnesses, and even a judge to save an innocent person from being condemned to death. The 30th Diocesan Synod took place on 5 June 1679. The 31st was held on 28 April 1687. The 32nd Synod took place on 4 September 1724. Bishop Giacomo Maria Re Dini Tedeschi 1905-1914 held a diocesan synod in 1910, the 33rd in Roncalli's list. Bishop Luigi Maria Morelli 1950-1936 held the 34th diocesan synod on 22 August 1923. In 2007, the diocese opened its 37th diocesan synod, a gathering dedicated to addressing problems and opportunities confronting parishes in the 21st century. Seminary. The Council of Trent, in its 23rd session, meeting on 15 July 1563, issued a decree, the 18th chapter of which required that every diocese have a seminary for the training of clergy. In the diocesan synod of 4-5 September, Bishop Fernando Cornaro announced the imposition of the tax authorized by the council for the purpose of building a seminary for the diocese. The bishop chose a location for the new seminary at the Collegiate Church of San Matteo, which was administered by a chapter composed of a provost and 4 canons. Houses were bought in the immediate vicinity, including 2 belonging to the canons to be used to house the seminarians. Archbishop Carlo Borromeo visited the seminary and provided it with a set of statutes. In the time of Cornaro's successor, Girolamo Ragazzoni, the number of students had increased to 25. In 1590 there were 22 clerics. There were 2 teachers, and the curriculum was extremely limited: grammar, catechism, Bible, patristic homilies, and works to develop the conscience. Bishop Grimani consolidated the buildings around a new courtyard in 1623, and Bishop Giustiniani became a successful fundraiser to support the seminary. By the end of the 18th century, the number of students had outstripped the space available, and some of them had to be lodged in the former monastery of the Celestines. In 1821, with the legacy of Canon Marco Celio Papacy, it was possible to acquire several buildings near South Maria in Monte Santo, which made possible the reunification of the entire student body in one residence. The seminary buildings were so deteriorated by the end of the 1950s, however, that Bishop Giuseppe Papacy was compelled to rebuild the seminary, for which he had the support of Pope John Roman XXIII, who had taught at the seminary, and Cardinal Gustavo Testa, a native of Bergamo. The project was finally completed in 1967. In 1934, while he was still coadjutor Bishop of Bergamo in 1932-1936, Bishop Adriano Bonreggi established a new minor seminary, middle and high school in the town of Clusone, in the mountains north of Bergamo. Parishes. The 390 parishes all fall within the Lombardy region. 375 are within the civil province of Bergamo, 14 in the civil province of Lecco, and 1 in the civil province of Brescia. In the Diocese of Bergamo in 2015 there was one priest for every 10 Catholics. For historical reasons a number of the parishes in the diocese celebrate the liturgy, but according to the Ambrosian rite, rather than according to the Roman rite. They are the Vicariate of Calolzio, Caprino Calolzio Court, Caprino Bergamasco, Carno, Sissono Bergamasco, of Monte Marenzo, Torre de Busi and Vercurego, and the parishes of Averara, Prumono, Casilio, Cusio, Ornica, Santa Brigida, Teogio, Voltorta and Vediceda. Missionary activities. The diocese maintains strong relations with the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Cochabamba in Bolivia. Priests of the diocese work in parishes in Cuba and Côte d'Ivoire. To 1200. Nonus between Celsus 374 and c. 397. Viator Anonymous. Joannes d. Joanne 668, 690. Antonina succeeded c. 691. Antonius Alginus c. 758 c. 797. Tacpolda c. 797 c. 814. Grasmond attested 829. Hagono Aganon c. 840 c. 863. Goribultus c. 867 c. 888. Adelbertus attested 894. 929. Richo attested 938. 953. Adelicus attested 954. 968. Ambrosius c. 970. 973. Digisabitus attested 975. After 982. Ozza attested 987. 996. Regimfredus attested 996. 1013. Odshirius attested 1013. 1022. Ambrosius attested 1023. 1057. Ato 1058 c. Arnulfus 1098. 1106. Xmatic Ambrosius 1111. 1130. 3 Gregorius 1133. 1146. Gerardus 1146. 1167. Guala 1167. 1186. Lanfrancus 1186. After June 1211. 1200 to 1500. Giovanni Tornielli 1211, 1231. Ato 1231. 1240. Henricus de Sessa 1241 1242. Alberto Doctors 1242. 1251. Aldisio del Rossi OP 1251. 1259. Bordeaux OP 1260. 1272. Giscardo Suodi ATL 1272. 22 Feb 1282. Died. Sidve Conte 1282. 1289. Robertus Bengay 1289. 1291. Sidve Conte 1291. 1295. Joan Scanza 1295. 1309. Cyprianus Alessandri 1310. 1341. Nicholas Canoli 1342. Bernardus Trigodi or Assist 1342. 1349. Lanfranca Salvetti or Min 1349. 1381. Matteo de Agassiz or Min 1381. Avignon Obedience Branchness Bisoxio 1381. 1399. Roman Obedience Ludovico Benito 1399. 1401. Roman Obedience Francesco Lant or Min 1401. 1403. Roman Obedience Francesco de Regates or Min 1403. 1427. Polidoro Fosco 1437. 1449. Giovanni Barozzi 1449. 1465. Ludovico Donata Donna 1465. 1484. Lorenzo Cabrio 1484. 1512. 1500 to 1800. Niccolo Lipomono 17. Joel 1512. 1516. Pietro Lipomono 1516. 1544. Pietro Bambo OSU. Hieros 1544. 1547. Administrative Vitus Oranza 1547. 1558. Luigi Lipomono 1558. 1559. Cardinal Luigi Cornaro 1560. 1560. 1. Administrator Federico Cornaro Senior OSEO. Hieros 1560. 1. 1577. Girolamo Regazzoni 1577. 1592. Tim Battista Milani C.R. 8 Appa 1592. 1611 resigned to Vonima 18 Appa 1611. 16 Ot 1622 died Federico Baldissimo Bartolomeo Cornaro 23 Feb 1623 7 Sep 1626 Agostino Prila 8 Feb 1627 4 Ot 1632 died Luigi Grumani 12 Jan 1633 4 Dec 1656 died Gregorio Balroriga 9 Jill 1657 24 Mars 1664 Daniel Giustini 23 Jan 1664 11 Jan 1697 died Luigi Ruzzini 27 Jan 1698 18 March 1708 died Cardinal Parito Priuli 40 May 1708 22 Jan 1728 died Leandro di Porta Portia or SB 12 Apus 1728 18 Nov 1730 resigned Antonio Ridetti 22 Nov 1734 May 1773 died Marco Molin or SB 13 Sep 1773 2 more 1777 died Timpaolo Dolphin CRL 28 till 1777 19 May 1819 died. Since 1821 Pietro Mole Jan 1821 16 Jan 1829 died Carlo Gritti Molatti 28 Feb 1831 17 Det 1852 died Pietro Luigi Spranza 19 Det 1853 4 Jan 1879 died Gaetano Camillo Quindani Quindori 19 Sep 1879 21 Oct 1904 died Sicuro Malia Redini Tedeschi 20 Jan 1905 22 of 1904 died Luigi Maria Morelli 22 Jan 1915 14 April 1936 died Adriano Brunoneghi 14 April 1936 23 Jan 1953 died Giuseppe Palisi 1 Oct 1953 5 Old 1963 died Clement Caddy 25 Sep 1963 20 May 1977 Matteo Giulio Organi 20 May 1977 21 of 1991 Matteo Roberto Amadei 21 of 1991 22 Jan 2009 Matteo Francesco Bistai 22 Jan 2009 Reference works pp. 777 779 in Latin Studies. Here, Paul Fridolin 1913 Italia Pontificia, Sive, Repertorium Privilegium et Literarum Romanis Pontificis Anti Annum 1598 Taeli Ecclesiae, Monasteries, Civitatibus Singulis Personis Consistorum. All. V.I. Pausi. Burlini Weidman. pp. 357-397. In Latin. Lanzoni Francesco 1927. The Diocesi d'Italia dall'origine al principio del secolo Roman 7 and 604, volume. Roman 2 fins 1927. Bergamo category, province of Bergamo category, province of Lecco category, province of Brescia category, history of Bergamo,